Hello, welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris. I haven't forgotten my drum intro. Try and do it very quick. All right, so summer has started. I hope you're all doing very good in school. I will say I do need to change the topic for today, which was going to be your college degree, is it worth it, right? So it's a question that has come up, been requested that I discuss, but I just had a conversation with a parent who brought up the idea that kids these days just want to pass their classes. And I said, what? So yes, kids these days in college probably just want to just pass their classes. When your parents are talking to them to go and study so they could get good grades, they just want to pass. Well, come to find out, this is unfortunately been very typical of most students. So if you're not one of those students, I do apologize, but it seems to be a general trend for most students. So our topic today is going to be cultivating the academic mindset, thriving in college. Again, the topic is going to be cultivating the academic mindset, thriving in college. All right, so let's go through this. Of course, I'm going to have to start with a little bit of statistics. There was a study that was done in 2014. Basically, students were being tracked from 2014 all the way to 2020 to kind of see how students will excel in school, and the percentage that actually graduated within that period was 64%. While 64% may seem high, I think it is very, very low, because from 100% to 64%, that means 36% of students did not graduate. So that's your statistics there. All right, so I do get it. There are many reasons why students will not excel in college. Financial, time management, distractions, social life, you name it, lack of support or advising, academic disqualifications, etc., etc. I get it. So my thing is, if you don't have any of these challenges, financial, time management, right? Everybody goes through all this here. If you don't have any of these good reasons not to do well, if all this is in place, why would you just want to just pass your class and not excel? That to me sounds like a little bit lack of effort, and you're just playing it safe. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is, of course, go through some of the excuses that I've heard over and over again. I'm shared with parents as well. I don't want this podcast to also just be about the parents. I want your students. Again, my first priority is just really for the students. So let's get some of the excuses out of the way. Having the right attitude to excel in college is great. So when did it become a bad thing to excel? That's my question to you all. I've never heard or recently heard anybody call anyone a nerd, which I honestly don't think is wrong anyway. If you happen to be very smart in school, so call me a nerd. That's fine, right? At the end of the day, I'm going to excel in college, so I have no problem with that. But when did it become so bad to excel in college? And then I've also heard, oh, it is generational. No, it is not generational. Why is it generational? Because now we have electric cars and we didn't have it before. If more so, this generation should be up to speed on the technology. There's so much to be learned. So I do not believe in the minute that is generational. So we used to work so hard, now we don't have to. That is an excuse. Times have changed. Things are different. That is also an excuse that I hear. Oh, you know, your days have passed. Things are different right now. Again, that's an excuse. Social media is real. It's an excuse. Okay. Yes, we didn't have that much social media, but that didn't change anything in terms of how hard we have to work in school. And then one of the saddest excuses that I've heard is things are easy now, so you don't need to work that hard. Really? Again, that to me is very, very sad. If things are easier now, then you should be excelling, right? That will be how I look at it. Okay, so I've given you some excuses. Some additionally, how to excel in college. It is very simple. So I share this all the time, and I'm going to share it once again here. Usually with my freshmen, I say, you want to get your A's because, of course, Calculus 2 is not going to be easier than Calculus 1, right? That's simple math. So we all get that analogy. However, the other thing I share with students all the time is if at the beginning of a semester, your goal is to get a C, which is passing, what happens if you don't make a C? That's a question that I need you all to think about for a second. If your goal is to make a C, and you don't make a C, chances are you're probably going to get a D, which, by the way, a D is a nice way of saying, you still need to retake the class anyways because you don't have the understanding for the class. So the point I'm trying to make here is why not aim at a B so then when you fall, at least you're getting a B, right? Aim A, get B, aim B, get C. That's about how far I will go down in terms of aiming. So please let not your goal be, I just want to pass this class. So let's get to what I wanted to really share today is having a growth mindset. I actually learned about a growth mindset through a leadership program, which, by the way, applies to all college students. So I will use that premise for today's podcast as we're cultivating your academic strategies to excel in college. So what is a growth mindset? We're going to discuss what a growth mindset is. We're going to look at what a fixed and a growth mindset are. We're going to look at some examples of a growth mindset and also provide some strategies on how to actually cultivate that growth mindset. Okay, so quick definition of what a growth mindset is. A growth mindset is learning, growing, and hard work despite setbacks. So a growth mindset basically says you are going to look at all your challenges, and yes, we all go through these challenges, right? So it should not be an excuse of why you don't work hard, why you don't learn, and why absolutely you're not growing. Students with a growth mindset do very, very well, face challenges, and build out of those challenges to excel academically. Very simple, straightforward definition of what a growth mindset is. Okay. Now, the one I don't want to talk about is a fixed growth mindset, which is basically where most of you are right now. Basically saying you don't believe anything is going to change. Your capabilities and your abilities are going to be the same. They cannot change, which is why you are right where you are. That mindset is saying, I'm not going to work any harder. All I want is just to pass my classes, and that's exactly where you will be. So no fixed mindsets. No fixed mindsets. Always have to be growth mindset. Okay. So let's look at some potential of a growth mindset. Let's look at some examples. If you do have a growth mindset, you're actually going to foster some resilience. That means you're not making any excuses. We use motivation quite a little bit. We throw out motivation, but motivation comes from different ways, but you have to be able to understand how to motivate yourself first. That way, you can find other resources of getting motivated. So there should be no excuse for why you should not be motivated in college. My favorite, as we're talking about potential for a growth mindset, is the love for learning. Yes, almost sounds like what? Who likes to learn? The process in which, by the way, we are learning is actually one of the reasons why I think it's very challenging for students to understand that you can actually learn how to love, how to learn, if that makes sense. One way to actually love what you're learning is putting your ultimate goal always ahead of you. There's no excuses, okay? If you want to become an engineer, if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a lawyer, if you want to become whatever it is. Right now, social media is very big. So communications, right? People are doing. If you really want to excel in those areas, what you're going to be doing is always thinking about that and thinking about how to love the learning process. I usually say, sometimes students say, oh, all these prerequisites, or better yet, some of the general education requirements that you have to take, right? Students who always say, why do I have to take this? Why do I have to take this? That makes the learning process a little more challenging. So you're not going to love it. If you do have a reason, however, knowing that what you are going to be studying at the end is going to produce a result. That is an ultimate goal at the end. You're actually going to learn and love that process of learning. Okay. Let's talk about strategies. I really wanted this podcast to be very straightforward, quick, so I'm not going to bore you with so much information. So I'm going to get right down to the strategies of how to have a growth mindset. Basically, my first strategy is how to reframe your challenges so they become opportunities. You're like, what? How can my challenges become opportunities? Yes. Identifying academic challenges. That's the first one. You have to be able to identify academic challenges, because if you're able to do that, that becomes a solution for the process in growth. If you don't know what you don't know, what are you looking for? That's the point of my first point in identifying academic challenges. If you don't know what you know, there's no progress. You're not fixing anything. You're not providing a solution to anything. So identifying academic challenges, again, number one, is because that will become an opportunity. That is, you find a solution to the process for the growth. Second, effective time management. I've talked about time management for a long time, but where's the growth in that? If you're able to effectively manage your time, the growth there is balance, which most students don't have to do. So if you're able to do that, the opportunity you have in that process is balance. Number three is developing steady skills. If you develop a good steady skill, the advantage you have there, or the opportunity for growth, is having smart approaches to how to study, so it doesn't become overwhelming, right? So developing steady skills is definitely an opportunity for growth. Seeking help and support. In the past or previous podcasts, I talk about why students don't seek help, why your institutions are spending so much money for success coaches, for advising, for tutoring centers, you name it. Your computer centers are all filled with resources. Either we don't know how to use it, and sadly, we don't even ask how to use those. So seeking help is number 4 on my strategies of a mindset or a growth mindset, right? Knowing how to seek help and support provides you the opportunity for a growth mindset in knowing when to ask. Last but not the least is setting realistic goals. It doesn't happen magically for anyone in college. We've all been through that process. It is a process. So setting realistic goals, meaning you know what the ultimate goal is, but you're going to take little steps. And then the first step is going to be seeing small results. That's how you build on your confidence, right? To take it one day at a time. That is realistic goals. So take small steps, see the results, then take the next step. Another strategy that I would like to share last but not the least is embracing the learning process. Yes, you got to embrace. I talked about loving the process. Now I'm talking about embracing the learning process. You can do better. Every time I talk to a student, I said, you definitely can do better. Embrace it. What's the process of learning? You got to determine what your strategy is and then embrace it and then just go on with that process. That is your key to excelling in your classes. All right. Basically, that's all I want to talk about. Other episodes that I intend to do on the same topic is overcoming your limiting beliefs, goal setting and vision. Right, goal setting and vision. I'm actually gonna try and do an episode on that, because some of the strategies for setting that goal is what we call SMART. Right now, a lot of industries use SMART, meaning be specific. It's got to be measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Right, so that is spells SMART, and that is kind of the idea. So that's another whole episode that I'll probably do at some point. Cultivating great and resilience is another topic that I could do, and embracing a positive mindset. Also another. I'm going to close very quickly. But first, I do want to thank Megan. Megan is behind the scenes here doing a great job. I'm actually looking for a topic that Megan and I will discuss here very soon. So you can see Miss Megan behind the camera. Thanks, Megan, for helping out today. In closing, I'm going to share a little story. Take a little water break here first. All right. The story I always share is that there's a thin line between A and B and C and D. Let me explain. In all my years of teaching, 20 plus years, at the end of the day, when you all finish your final exams, and this applies to all instructors, final exams is done and you go home and you're just waiting for your results. The instructor is left with you getting an 89, which is close to a 90, so that could be an A, or a 79, which is close to a B. How does that instructor decide on whether they give you that A or they give you that B? That's what I mean by there's a thin line between A and B, because at the end of the day, I'm going back looking at my students that are really looking forward to excelling. Them is doing really, really well. Come to class, do their homework, but mainly I'm looking at the students that are always aiming high to excel. That is what I mean by it's a thin line between A and B and C and D, and it makes a big difference. So you have to have that positive mindset, positive growth mindset, so that blurs that line between A and B, so you can get your A or you can get your Bs. As I mentioned before, aim high so when you fall, you don't fall too far away down to the bottom. Aim for an A, worst case scenario, you get a B. Aim for a B, worst case scenario, you do get a C. So with that, once again, don't drink beer, but I give you my beer, which is balanced, eat well. What's my other E, by the way? I'm trying to remember. It's balance, eat well. The last one is relax. You all know what my other E is. With that, I said, stay tuned for another episode. Again, I will discuss, is your college degree worth it, on the next episode. Thanks again for listening. All the best this summer, and we'll see you all on Let's Talk Ed with Professor Chris next time.